What is going on, guys? DBG here. On this video, we are going to be talking about the market in NBA 2K21 MyTEAM. So, lads, as you guys can see, there are 4 days left in the season. So, we can kind of have an idea of what's going to play out for the rest of the season. And I'm probably going to make... It'll probably be Wednesday, honestly. Depending on when they release Moments cards. I'm making a full tip video on how to best prepare for the new season of MyTEAM, because it's always a the first couple of days of the season are always very, very important times. The market, everything changes, like the entire meta changes on the first day of most seasons. Like it really does. Like the first day of, I think, was it season 3 was the season of giving, when we found out that they were giving us a bunch of free cards. We got a free Diamond Jamorant, who was an elite point guard at that stage in the game. And by locker code, we found out we were getting an OPAL Baron Davis later in the thing. And then season 4 starting was ridiculous as well, because we got again Reedy Fernandez and a bunch of those, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. So, one thing we do end every single season with, though, something that we have not seen, is super packs. So, normally we see a best of 2K20 super pack, 2K21 super packs, but we did not see them this season. But it will be season 4 super packs. So, normally super packs last 72 hours from our experience. So, super packs have historically come out on Tuesdays. And I think that because these specific throwback moments packs came out today, and I think that basically means that super packs tomorrow is almost a guarantee. My prediction is probably super packs tomorrow, moments Wednesday, and then they don't bring anything out on Thursday. If I'm obviously I have to look at this from 2K's perspective. Obviously 2K are trying to make as much money as possible, so it's not obviously what I'd like to see, but they're a for-profit company, so I have to think in a way that what way are they going to structure things to make them the most money. So I reckon we see moments cards probably Wednesday. I reckon we see Thursday nothing, because if I were them, I wouldn't bring out stuff on Thursday, because nobody's buying the day before a season, because that's when everyone's being told to hold on to your MT, basically. Yeah, no one's buying the day before a new season starts. As well as that, I don't know, I just think Thursday right before. I just don't even like Thursday, because Friday packs are big for buying cards. There's a reason why no one buys cards on Thursdays. But yeah. Anyway, now let's get on to having a look back at previous seasons. So, this season right here. This is my video when they added stuff into packs for season 3. So, in these packs had everybody. They basically had everybody from season 3, all of the good cards. They had 22 pink diamonds at that stage, and this is back before opals were in packs. The first opal came out in packs 3 or 4 days later than this. But them adding all these pink diamonds into packs, funnily enough, it didn't actually touch the price of Oscar or of Walt Frazier. It didn't touch the price of Levine. Didn't touch the price of Magic Johnson. But the cards that it really affected were at this stage, Isaac, as you guys can see here, he had dropped below to 8k. Isaac was 15k before these packs came out, so he actually he took a big tumble. So what is Jonathan Isaac the equivalent of in this season? This season, I reckon Isaac is probably the equivalent of this guy. Oh, wait, not my free team, my main team. He's the equivalent of a Smush Parker. He's that type of player, around a low overall player, or that is just way better than their overall suggests, and is around that 12 to 15k range. I reckon he's the Smush Parker of that season. Either that, or you can compare him to a Fultz, but Fultz is consistently dropping the price. You can get Fultz sometimes for less than 5k. He's crazily cheap. Other cards that I think are going to take huge hits are the likes of Kobe. I think Kobe's going to take a massive hit, because he's going to be one of the lowest. It's probably a guaranteed Ruby in these packs, and Kobe's going to be one of the lower overall players, and I reckon a whole bunch of him get put up onto the auction house. But what cards of real relevance are going to take a hit? So we have to again look at some other players that did massively drop in price. So basically it was him. Chris Paul went from 10k to like 5k. So a lot of those like cheap players, like Michael Porter Jr. is going to go right back down to like 1k MT, or sorry, like 1.5, 2k MT. And like I even made a video when, and this was a dumb video that I made, and it was like markets down, top 5 players to get, and to an extent it kind of made sense, but it was like at this stage, say pre these packs, he was like 60k. Glenn Robinson went down, and he went from like 30k to like 18k. Cliff Hagan. We had obviously Isaac continue to drop in price. Siakam was like 15k, he went down to like 5k. AK was around 120k, he went down to like 80k. So a lot of these cards were actually dropping in price. Like he was like 7 or 8k, went down to 3k. So it is kind of a lot of mid-tier players that are going to be majorly affected by super packs if we're going to look historically. So guys like Reedy Fernandez, I think are going to tank. Like Reedy Fernandez is like 30 something k right now. Like, I think he's going to be packed a ton. I think he's going to absolutely tank in price. The budget guys are going to tank as well. Like, you better believe that these Ruby cards are going to come out of packs. Like their Pink Diamond James Harden that time in 2K18. I think a lot of mid-tier, like I think E's going to drop. I think Dino's going to drop in price. Guys that people expect to drop in price won't drop. As in, people are expecting the super packs to have an effect on a Tracy McGrady, or the super packs to have an effect on a LeBron James, and they won't. I'm telling you, they're not going to have an effect on a LeBron James. The super packs will not have an effect on these cards. And that's why a lot of people talk about how super packs don't actually affect the market. They do, but they don't affect the market in the way people expect. They don't affect the top tier cards, and they never have affected the top tier cards. And that's, again, why the common misconception of super packs don't do anything is always there in terms of 2K. Because when people are expecting super packs, they're expecting Anthony Davis cards to be like super cheap. The only time an Anthony Davis card or a LeBron is going to drop is people panic selling right now expecting super packs. Like, I know just as I was about to hit record, I saw Ty made this video. Again, we both have different opinions on this, so I've no problem giving my take on this entire situation as well. And I reckon there are a whole bunch of people that may have sold their cards based on that video. That's going to create a bigger market crash with the top tier cards than any sort of super packs will, because the odds of pulling one of these top tier cards are so low. Like, yeah, there might be a higher chance of pulling an Opal, but you can't forget Opal Jimmy Butler is in these packs. Opal Yao is in these packs. Like, it's not going to really affect that much the top tier Opals. And also, like, again, there are probably guaranteed cards. So the lower tier cards are going to be packed so often. Like, Bonga's going to be probably at its cheapest. Bamba's going to be cheap. Glenn's going to be cheap. Scal's going to be cheap. Inferno, all of these lower guys are going to be cheap. So if you are somebody that is looking for make a good budget squad, tomorrow's going to be a great time. And it's like, the funny thing is that there's no even advice to sell, because, for example, if Reedy Fernandez drops from, I think he's probably going to drop from like 32k to like maybe like 24k maybe. So he'll have a drop of like 8k. But like, what's the best case scenario is that, like, if you sell and buy him, you're making a max like 5k MT. So there's no point selling your cards, because if you're planning on selling high cards based on super packs, if you're planning on selling your high cards, like, they're not going to, and buying them back after a like non-existent high card market crash, that's just not going to happen. And you're not making enough profit selling your budget players and buying them back after these packs. You're just not going to make enough profit. So there's just no point in selling. If you are planning on buying a card that's around like 25, 30 KMT, like, for example, again, if you're planning on buying a Reedy Fernandez, I would wait until after the packs, because he's likely to drop. And then there might be a couple of random cards that get packed a ton that drop in price, but I can't really predict any of them off the top of my head. So yeah, a card that I would definitely stay away from buying until these packs come out is Smush Parker, because again, he's a Ruby. There's a good chance that he drops a ton in price over the next day. Like, sure, like, he can't go up in price. He just can't. Like, he's a Ruby card. He's a Ruby to an Amethyst. I love the card. There is no way he goes up in price. Just because there's enough overall snobs out there in the world. So More important, though, than the super packs, I'm going to say these super packs in Season 3, I'm not going to say that those Season 3 super packs crashed the market, because they didn't. They had a slight effect on a couple of cards. They really didn't. But you know what did actually crash the market in Season 3? The very start of Season 4. From the token cards, so many people were locking in Peyton replacing their point guard. They were locking in Bobby Jones replacing their power forward. They were getting Reedy Fernandez for 50k. And they were replacing their like JR, not necessarily JR, they're replacing their Kobe's for Reedy Fernandez. They were buying Fultz and replacing their point guard with Fultz, who was 15k. The pay-to-win guys were getting Jimmy Butler and DeMarcus Cousins, who were the best centers in the game at the time. So, like, we have to look at that. Like, this batch was the most crazy batch at the time, and the start of every season has had a crazy batch of cards. We had KD in Season 3. We've had tip-offs in the first 2 seasons, then we had these here. We have had some crazy batches. As well as that, a lot of good free cards are shown to people, so people start selling. Like, if you are expecting a market crash, the market's going to crash a million times. The market's going to drop a million times higher on Friday than it is from these packs. The market is not going to, like, the market for the higher end players is not going to be crashed by super packs. Trust me, like, with supply and demand, the way things are, it's not going to be affected. The only time the price of cards go down is when another card becomes better. Like, Jimmy is going to consistently drop in price, as I said when he came out, because they're constantly outdoing themselves at opals. There's a reason why Reedy Fernandez is constantly dropping in price, because so many people have got Terry and the lawyer, Jack Marin, who are like objectively like probably better cards than Reedy Fernandez. Thurl Bailey, who was a god at the time, is just kind of irrelevant at this stage. Like, 2K constantly outdoing themselves is what's going to drop in price. And there's going to be very few situations where there's going to be a major drop, like a card dropping 200k in a day. The only time that ever happens is when things like the Inferno packs get leaked and everyone starts panic selling, because they think that all these Inferno cards, they want to get as much MT as possible. That's the only time you see the market crash, is when people start panic selling. Like, no pack will cause a market crash, unless, of course, the pack contains guaranteed cards that are better than 90% of cards we already have. Like fan favorites and NBA is back last year. So anyway, yeah. And it's pretty much it. What is going to happen tomorrow? I reckon a few low to mid tier cards are going to drop a little bit in price. Almost all the top tier cards are going to stay basically exactly as they are. So yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. That is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.